Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. And before we get started, I see that. I got some sort of scratch, and now that's it. So here I am. It's all I see. It's probably all you're going to see now, so that's really fun. All right, the topic today is the secret steps to 100%. Now, there's multiple different kind of avenues or paths that you could take to increase your rating. Maybe you're increasing it from whatever to 60 or 70. Maybe you're getting all the way to 100. The point is, don't leave ratings on the table. Now, I'm going to jump into this here. Before I do, I want to throw on a special thank you to Tom Smith 1038. Tom Smith, thank you so much to you for your super comment, super chat. I really do appreciate it. Tom Smith, thank you. All right, so different avenues, right? So whether you are digging through your old medical records and finding a condition that maybe you forgot to get service connected, or if you're looking at the potential of increases or secondaries. I'm going to focus in on secondaries here because secondaries have a tremendous power to boost your rating. I'm going to give you a fantastic example here in a second as well. Now, whether you're in this world today or not doesn't matter because you might be there later. If you're already 100% permanent in total, this could push you into a different realm, maybe pull in special monthly compensation, aid in attendance if needed. You need to get your conditions documented if it makes sense, right? Work with an accredited representative. Make sure that you're solid where you're at. You know you better than anybody. You know your current circumstances. Did my condition get better? Did my condition get worse? Is it about the same? Have I been going to the doctor? All that stuff. Now, before I jump into this, secondary conditions do not require proof of service because it's not a service-connected condition. It does need a diagnosis, and it still needs a nexus, but the nexus is shifted. The nexus has shifted from show me that your condition manifested or as a result of your time in service to show me that your condition is a result of your service-connected condition. Now, I reached out to the folks over at AME, and they want to do a special deal for the holidays on Nexus Letters for secondaries. It's a flat rate, regardless of what secondary condition you're going for, flat rate, holiday promo of $795. Check it out. You can have a free consultation. Nobody's on the hook for anything. Do not go to a claims consulting company that's going to charge you 6 times the amount of your increase. Don't do that when all you need is a Nexus letter to tie the bow around it and get moving. So what happens? What are they giving you for that? A basic Nexus letter. So, whatever, a couple pages signed by one of their board certified doctors. Secondary conditions is what they're focused on for this promo. They're trying to help people get those secondary conditions in. And, this is a limited one time per customer. So if you have multiple secondaries, think about the one that's going to be the most powerful. Maybe have a conversation with your accredited representative. Now, look, if you can get this done for free from your doctor, go for it. The only issue that I've ever seen is, one, some doctors just say they don't want to do it. Other doctors drag their feet. And other doctors do a really kind of chintzy job, right? It's a paragraph. It's maybe a third of a page on their letterhead. Is it substantial enough? I don't know. You have to make that decision. If your doctor can't, won't, doesn't know how, doesn't know the VA lingo, you can't explain it to them, this is a great option. The links are everywhere. All right, so let's focus on secondaries. I'm going to give you a great example here. I know this is super dark. I'll try to lighten it a little bit. So let's talk about secondaries real quick, and then I'm going to give you an example of going from a 10% for one condition to a 70. Okay. Now let's talk about. I just pulled up an overview here to just kind of go over it. So, a veteran can file a secondary VA claim for conditions that are caused or made worse by their tinnitus, for example, if their tinnitus is service connected. These conditions, and that's not what my example is going to be on, everybody does tinnitus. These conditions are considered disabilities by the VA, and veterans may be eligible for disability compensation for both conditions. So this says some common secondary conditions for tinnitus, and again, I'm going to give you another example, but common conditions for tinnitus, headaches, hearing loss, mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, PTSD, is what it has on here. Sleep disorders like insomnia, sleep apnea, erectile dysfunction, chronic fatigue syndrome, teeth grinding, jaw clenching, somatic symptom disorder. And so it just kind of explains it here on that, in that way. I'm going to talk about another secondary kind of situation that I really think is a lot of times not fully thought out, for lack of a better way. So you have a back condition. Almost every veteran I know, the high percentage of veterans that have any sort of condition that's service connected, a joint is involved, right? A knee, a back, an ankle, whatever. So with a back issue, those are typically low ratings. You're usually looking at a 10% or 20% for most people. Can it be higher? Sure. You just don't want to be that person. I mean, you barely want to be the person with a 10 or a 20. So you have this lower 10%, we'll call it, back rating for whatever your issue is in your back. Over time, maybe secondary conditions manifest, or maybe they already existed, but you didn't understand, because you're not a doctor, that you have to label them all separately. You think that they're just symptoms of your back condition and you're rated for your back. That's not how it works. You have your back condition, and now you have these other conditions that are, as a result of your back, different than symptoms from your back, right? So the examples that I'm going to use here are just the two very simple and common examples, okay? Arthritis will build up in the joint area, and you can get rated for that. You could end up pinching a nerve. We'll use your lower back for an example here, and you get numbness and tingling going down your legs, and so you have radiculopathy or what have you going down each one of your legs. Now, because it's going down both extremities, there is a little add-on called the bilateral factor. It's not substantial, so I'm not really going to get into that here. Just going to use the raw numbers for the sake of simplicity. So, veteran A goes in and says, hey, I have a back issue, and gets rated for their back, gets a 10%, and they move on their way, and they're like, man, that really sucks, because I feel like my back is a lot worse than what it is, than what I'm rated for, right? Veteran B goes in, and they say, you know, hey, I have my back condition, sucks. I get rated 10%, and I have secondaries to my back of radiculopathy down both left and right, and I have arthritis as well as depression because of that. So now you have a way different situation. Now, depending on the severity of the depression and what you get rated for, and depending on the severity of the arthritis and what kind it is and that type of stuff, will throw you in different buckets of ratings. It's not uncommon to see something like radiculopathy be a 10% typically. Sometimes you'll see a 20% down each extremity. So you could see 2 20s or you could see 2 10s. For this example, I'm going to say 10 for the back, 10 down the left leg, 10 down the right leg. And I'm going to we'll use a 20% for arthritis and a 30% for mental health, for anxiety or depression or what have you that's as a result. So let's talk about arthritis just for a second here. And just read directly from the rating schedule here for arthritis. So multi-joint arthritis, so 2 or more joints, could be rated up to 100%, just for an example. Now, it says down here at the bottom that there's a few notations. One is examples of conditions rated using this diagnostic code for arthritis include but are not limited to rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, and spondylo or whatever. Okay, so whatever that one is. I think personally that I am actually on that one for the type of arthritis that I have, which is ankylosing spondylitis. So I think because of my fancy arthritis, I'm on that one. I don't really know. I don't remember the diagnostic code, and I'm not going to go dig it up. The next one here is degenerative arthritis. Degenerative arthritis can be rated up to 20%. Okay, so if they detect it with x-rays of involvement of 2 or more major joints or 2 or more minor joint groups with occasional incapacitating exacerbations. Close enough. 20% rating. Okay, so that's what we're going to use as the example, but you could definitely be in one of those other types of arthritis and be higher up on the rating schedule. But for the sake of just the power of compounding ratings and utilizing secondaries, that's what we're going to use. So now what we're talking about here is 10% for your back, 10% for your left leg, 10% for your right leg, the numbness and tingling. We're going to talk about a 20% for arthritis, and we're going to talk about 30% for mental health for this specific situation. Now, what does that come up to? With the VA funny math, it comes up to a 60% rating, and actually it is a true 60. So it doesn't even need to round because it actually does fall on the 60% rating. Now, let's say that the arthritis changes to a 40%. Right? You move to that other rating schedule for arthritis. It bounces you to 70% with a true rating of 69. So your actual VA rating is 69% with the VA funny math, and then they round you to the 70%. Now, I will say that the VA's calculator works well. The only problem with it, and you can find it online if you just Google search VA rating calculator, you could type in all of your ratings and figure out where you're at, and it gives you your true rating and it gives you your rounded actual payment rating. It works great. The only problem is that it doesn't have a bilateral factor mechanism in there. It's not the end of the world, but it could change things a little bit. But for bigger kind of picture, understanding where you fall, how far you need to move to the next level, this should work fine for most folks. Just to give a quick example on how VA funny math works, since we're in the VA funny math kind of portion of this. If somebody's rated 350% ratings, right? Whatever it is, right? Heads 50%, backs 50%, and foot's 50%, just to make it simple. What the VA does is they go, okay, let's look at your highest rating. In this case, they're all the same. So 50%. So that means you're 50% bad. They slide it over there and they go, but that means you're still 50% good. They look at your next highest rating, in this case, still 50%. 50% of your 50% good is 25. They're going to add that 25 to your 50 bad. Now you're 75% bad. Then they're going to go back and they're going to go, okay, but that means you're still 25% good. So then they're going to look back again and look for any more ratings that you have. You do. You have one more. They're going to take that one, 50%, and they're going to go 50% of your remaining 25% good is 12.5. 12.5 added to your 75% bad is 87.5. So 87.5 is really 88. No more ratings. Your 88 is your true rating. Then they're going to round you to 90. So 350s is not 150. 350s is 90 in VA funny math world. It's not impossible to figure out the numbers by hand. It's just a little bit funky sometimes. So using a calculator can speed up that process for you. So if you are curious where you're at and where you need to go, that can help you out. Especially if you're going to utilize AME for the Nexus Letter for a secondary. Play with different secondary numbers. Use the VA's rating schedule and figure out, well, if I added this secondary condition in for this, does it change my overall rating? Will I slide from a whatever it is, a 50% to a 70%? Well, that's going to make sense. Why wouldn't I do that? If it doesn't change your rating, sure, it helps kick the ball down the field a little bit, but should you do that one today? Or should you kind of keep it in the bag until you can get some other things going too? It's up to you, of course, but make smart moves. Check with your doctor. They may do it for free. Just work with them on exactly what you need in there and how to tie it together in VA speak. I will also throw out there, just as a awareness piece, Nexus Letters help you establish the service connection. DBQs, disability questionnaires, help you articulate the severity for rating purposes. Are you a 10% for migraines, or are you a 50% for migraines? That can be spelled out in the disability questionnaire, where they don't really spell that out so much in the Nexus Letters. They're focusing on service connection. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.